Chapter 1 of Mrs Armytage, or Female Domination, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Helen Taylor, Oxford, UK. Mrs Armytage, or Female Domination, Volume 1, by Mrs Gore. Chapter 1. Such a nature, tickled with good success, disdains the shadow which she treads on at noon. Shakespeare. "The post is late this morning," said Mrs Armytage, having finished her second cup of tea, and pushed away a plate disordered with chippings of eggshell and French roll, while her daughter Sophie, to whom the apostrophe was addressed, aware that her mother measured the proceedings of the world and the progress of time by a dial peculiarly her own, did not venture to observe that, as they had sat down to breakfast half an hour earlier than usual, the newspaper could scarcely arrive in time for its usual office of concluding the ceremonial of the morning meal. Another moment, and her forbearance was rewarded. Old Simmons, the butler, on making his appearance to remove the urn, placed upon the table, in addition to the 2 daily papers, 2 letters from the post-bag, one for his lady, and another, a double one, for Miss Sophia. A double letter, and in her brother Arthur's handwriting. What rich repayment for having forborne to tax her mother with being unreasonable! Mrs Armytage, of Holywell Park, was one of those parents who, while affecting to encourage in their family all possible freedom of thought and action, exercise over their children the utmost rigour of petty despotism. Deluding herself into a belief that she was the most liberal of mothers, she had been heard to thank Heaven and the late Mr Armytage for having left her son and daughter independent of her, so that no mutual restraint could exist between them, although it was well known that this independence consisted in a provision of a few hundreds a year for each, while she, in her own right as an heiress, enjoyed an estate of thrice as many thousands. Even while pretending to sanction the most affectionate mutual confidence between Sophie and her brother, it was remarkable how minutely she contrived to inform herself of all that was said or written between them. Mrs Armytage was, in short, a woman of arbitrary temper, whose disposition had been cultivated into all the ungraciousness of egotism by the indulgence of an inert and adoring husband. "What does Arthur say?" she inquired of her daughter, as soon as Sophie reached the second page of her correspondence. "Nothing particular, mamma," replied the young lady, with a deep blush, folding up the letter, though manifestly half unread, and insinuating it under her waist-belt, as if determined against offering the contents to her mother's participation. "Nothing particular seems to possess a very particular influence over your feelings," persisted mamma, whose temper had been already set on edge by the perusal of her own letter, a missive from her London solicitor, giving an unfavourable account of a lawsuit. "But do not distress yourself. Be assured I have no wish to pry into the mysteries conjured up between yourself and Arthur." "Thank you, mamma. There are no mysteries between us," said Sophie, in a somewhat more decided tone than usual. "But I own I had rather not show you my brother's letter." "Did I ask you?" cried Mrs Armytage, apparently bent on being affronted. "No, oh, no, only I was afraid—" "Afraid! You would fain make people believe that I keep my children in desperate awe of me." "Indeed I would not, mother," replied Sophie, casting around the room a glance which implied, "We are alone. Whom can I be intent upon deceiving?" "Yes, I understand your meaning. You would say, now we are tête-à-tête, I may triumph in having my own way. There is no one here to notice in how many trivial particulars I can contrive to vex and mortify my mother." Sophie was for a moment tempted to appeal to Mrs Armytage's sense of justice against this harsh interpretation, but, warned by frequent experience that
Sample complete. Ready to continue?